They don't move it. So I got in there and I said, I really need, it was facing the mirror. And I'm like, great, I'm ADHD. I can't be looking at myself the whole time. Like, I need to face a wall. And it's right by the window. I said, great, we're going to have to close the shades. And, I need a lamp because there's not enough light in the room. It's a hotel room. I'm like, I need better lighting. They're like, oh, okay. And I made them move, after I got my new room, I made them move all the furniture so it could be a space where I could be in. I was going to be there for 4.5 hours a day for 6 days. That's more than 24 hours in a room with a proctor who can't do anything but look at me, with one proctor who's not allowed to read or do anything, sits there and watches you the whole time. It's like being in a fishbowl. So I made them basically move my desk. I made them find a lamp somewhere, bring me an extra lamp. I made them they need an extension cord because now I had to plug in the computer somewhere in the lamp. But they'll do it. You just have to ask and advocate for yourself. Like Karma was saying, you need to be your advocate. So part of what I got was, I got 2 15-minute breaks, which is great, and I got to have my snacks. However, lunch is in a very special room downstairs with proctors, and you go in and there's a huge poster that says all things you can't do, and there's pictures. You can't read, you can't talk, you can't really walk around, although some people were pacing. But you really can't do anything in that room but eat your lunch by yourself, which is really great when you're in the middle of a section, like your essays or performance tests or whatever. Sitting there and everyone's freaking out, everyone's in the same position, and it's a really stressful environment. And so I walked into the first day and the proctor was like, well, how long? I said, you know what? I looked up, okay, so what's the minimum amount of time? She's like, I need 30 minutes. Great, see you in 30 minutes. So I brought my lunch, ate as fast as I could, and was out the door. Because you can't do anything, and it's all you're doing is think about the bar. They didn't even have magazines or the newspaper or something to give you a break. So, the best part was on day 4 of the bar, because when you take it 6 days, they do the essay performance test, and then the MBEs, the multiple choice all at the end. So after 4 days of being in the lunchroom, there was this lady that was actually measuring the floor, taking those little roller things and going across the floor to see how long the conference space was, because it's in a conference room in the hotel, and everyone was staring at her. That was the entertainment we had all week, was this one woman measuring the room. So you can only imagine how wonderful that situation was, to be taking the bar and then seeing all these people flipping out. So suffice to say, I did the last 2 days of the bar. I just ate my snacks and didn't even take lunch for the multiple choice because I knew I would be able to finish, even though if I had eaten during that time. So that's, pretty interesting. So all I have to say is that it's stressful. And if you do it accommodated and you're in a special space, it's still really stressful, though you don't have 5,000 people. So just keep that in mind and know the bar, more than anything else, is psychological. It's not, academically, it's not, you have to prepare and work hard, but it's not, passing the bar isn't something that'll never happen. Most people pass. But I think a lot of people that have problems passing either don't receive their proper accommodations, or it's just the stress of the bar exam itself. It really gets to you. But there's ways to minimize stress, and one of them is to really do your accommodations work early. So it's something you don't have to worry about, after you graduate. Best case scenario, you want your, I was trying to figure out when I actually did I did my appeal actually, I did do my appeal actually in June. But I had all my paperwork was submitted really early. So once we figured I'd get denied something. So I was ready. But, so if you do it really early, the less you can do as far as, having to really stress over that while you're doing 8 hours of studying a day and barbering, sort of the better. I think we're going to talk now, that'll kind of go into the questions. Okay, so the questions that were submitted, we guys have a lot. Okay, are there any other questions? Yes.
Not the bar, but the actual PR. How is there difference in trying to receive accommodations for the professional responsibility?
Yes. Do you want to answer that, or should I? Okay, great. So the multi-state professional responsibility exam, I guess most of you are going to be taking that first. Great. That's done by the National Council of Bar Examiners. And that exam is very different to receive accommodations. It's all multiple choice. And my experience anyway was they were less likely to they gave me fewer accommodations. All I got was a private room. I didn't receive
Yeah,
extended time.
Generally, the position of the National Conference of Bar Examiners, and if you're familiar with the most recent case with the Enyart case, it was actually the National Conference of Bar Examiners who objected to the request for the screen reader and not the California Bar. But the National Conference of Bar Examiners generally says to people that the exam itself is not a speeded exam. It may be time pressured, but it's not speeded. So it would be normal for you to expect that you might not finish it, which is not true. And that it's a shorter exam, so therefore it's less likely that you would need accommodations because of a shorter length of time. That being said, if you make your case to them, they do tell you very specifically on their website exactly what information you have to provide them with. And if you make your case, they will grant the accommodations. When they don't grant them, a lot of the time it's because the accommodation request came in right at the deadline or right before the deadline. Almost always those people are denied, usually with kind of an added piece of information that should they choose to appeal for the next round, that they would look at additional documentation. But it is true that they are, it's tougher, generally speaking, but it's tougher because they think the nature of that exam is different.
At the same time, everyone's different. I know for me, my experience was I was really anxious because I got an extended time on everything, like except the MPRE. So going in there, I was worried that I wouldn't pass because I didn't have extended time. Turns out I finished early and it wasn't a concern. So, I mean, everyone's different, and I practiced doing it regular time. So once you get your accommodations, you also know exactly how to do your practice tests, and you should try to do your practice test with your accommodations that have been granted. And the same thing goes for when you're studying for the bar. A lot of, I know I took Barbary, actually here at Golden Gate, and they had no problem providing accommodations. I